Hi, this is Jana and this is my friend and my niece Chelsea. Hi. And so God's been talking to me this summer about rest and Sabbath and fun and enjoyment. And so we are going to do some cooking. Because if you've come to my event, some of my events, then people have often asked for my recipes. But as Chelsea well knows, I don't like to write my recipes down, and I'm sometimes not very thorough. So she came up with this great idea. Instead of sharing recipes, we would show you recipes and cook and have some God moments and just some fun together. So today we're going to make a strawberry pie, and don't worry, Chelsea's going to be really good about making sure at the end of this you get all the details about how to make it, right? Because she wants it for herself. And so just enjoy this, and we're just going to have some fun this summer. Okay, so we're going to just start with something easy. It's one of my favorite recipes. It's this fresh strawberry pie. And Chelsea said to make sure that I give credit where credit's due, but as she well knows, I get recipes from people and then I tweak them. So I may or may not know where I got it. Like this recipe, I got this 20 years ago, and I've modified it slightly. But let me tell you what you need to know about this strawberry pie. I know that you can go buy that bag of red goo, but you could also just make it yourself, and then you know what's in the red goo instead of like squeezing it out of the bag, right? Because we don't know what's in that stuff all the time. So here are the ingredients. 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water. You're going to use 5 tablespoons of cornstarch. What is this? A box of strawberry jello. Oh, and here's the pie crust deal. Now, if you make your pie crust from scratch, good for you. I suck at it, so I don't. But I found a great way to cheat, and I use the Pillsbury brand. I only use Pillsbury brand pie crust that roll out, and we'll show you how we're going to do that in a little bit. Oh, and of course, strawberries. And Chelsea got 2 quarts of strawberries, because the recipe actually called for 1 quart, but I like to have a big thick pie, so I use like 1.5 quarts, sometimes 2, depending on the size of the strawberries. So there's the ingredients, and we're going to get started on getting all this stuff together. Okay, what's half the fun of doing this is trying to explain to Chelsea how I do things so randomly. So properly, to make this pie correctly, you need to go ahead and get your pie crust in the oven, because I have this raw pie crust and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm sure you already know, and it's very loud. One of the things I like to do with this pie crust, besides get it out of the bag, we're professionals. Okay, so I like to let it, I took this pie crust out about an hour ago and let it get softened up where it comes apart easier. And so I'm going to unroll it, and as I'm doing that, I'm telling you, I may have let it get a little too warm because then it gets kind of mushy. Do you see this? Mm. Do you use these? What do you use?
I use the Pillsbury.
Okay. Have you ever made pie crust from scratch?
I have not.
I have, and they're very hard, and my mama can make them, but I cannot. So there you go. We have Grandma Love, and she knows how to cook. That's right.
Good stuff.
Okay, so I just rolled this out. And I have a deep dish pie, and you can use any kind of pie shell, but like I said, I'm going to put extra strawberries in mine because I like a thicker pie. And then I'm just going to pull the dough out and above so it covers all the corners. Now here's one thing that it's okay if you forget it, but you'll probably only forget it one time. And that is, you have to take a fork or a knife, and you got to poke holes in your pie crust. Chelsea, tell them what will happen if you don't do that. It bubbles up. It makes this great big like cavernous growth in the middle of your pie shell, and then it like crushes and it falls apart. So I'm going to pull off a little bit of this extra, and this really is a great pie crust. I'm not trying to do a plug for Pillsbury. I'm not getting paid for this, but I really do love this. So what I'm going to do then is I just threw my oven. It's not even completely preheated, but I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to cook it for about 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to wait till it's good and brown, not too brown, but good and brown. And then I'm going to take it out and let it be cooling, where we're going to finish fixing the strawberries and the filling. Is that what you call it?
Yes.
Yes, there you go. Okay, so we want to show you how to do the strawberries, and Chelsea laughed at me and said that people know how to do strawberries, but just in case you don't, when you have strawberries like this, let me say this one thing about strawberries. I always tell if strawberries are ripe by smelling them, and you can see me in a produce place, and I will literally cook them up. It's how I do tomatoes. It's how I do a lot of fresh fruits and stuff.
What are you smelling for?
Because smell the difference between this one and this one. when a fruit gets riper, it gets sweeter. And so sometimes I'll buy a strawberry. Can you tell a little bit of a difference when they get really more ripe?
Yeah.
There's a little bit a stronger smell to them, a fragrance to them, which makes me think of a Jesus moment about the fragrance of God. When you get squeezed, like letting Jesus come out of your life. But we won't go there. Anyway, so just a trick, if you buy strawberries and they're not exactly in season and they look a little green and hard, all you have to do is let them sit out on your counter, give them a day, maybe 2, and they will ripen up and they'll get sweeter over time. But she's picked these perfectly, you can tell. So that's that. You take the cap and I hold it, and when I'm going to slice it, I hold the cap and then I slice it like this, and then I have something to hold on to without my fingers being in the way. And now I've capped it. Isn't that cool? However, Chelsea, being her modern self, has come up with something wonderful, and she's going to tell you how she slices her strawberries.
Awesome. I have small kids, and they wanted to be able to help me in the kitchen, so I thought this would be very helpful. It's an egg slicer, just very simple, and I found the idea on Pinterest. And all you do is you take your crown strawberry, open your egg slicer, put it in, push it down.
That's the coolest.
And you have these beautiful sliced strawberries.
And they're very perfect and consistent. So what we're going to do is the rest of our little batch of strawberries here, I think we said 1.5 quarts, 2 quarts. She's going to do some, and we're going to race, but we're not going to do that on film because I think she's going to beat me. So
you're the one with the sharp knife, not me.
So we're going to fix these, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, here's one thought Chelsea just remembered. We want to make sure we told you.
Yeah, the first time I tried my egg slicer, I bought a really cheap one. It was about $2 or $3, and this is a larger strawberry, and I crowned the strawberry, put it in, and I literally broke a string in my egg slicer. So what I do when you have large strawberries, I just slice them in half first, just to take care of your tool here.
And then tell us about that $high machine right there.
This $high guy is built very well, and it has no problem.
And it was a $6 machine.
It was $6
We're
or
moving
more.
uptown, let me tell you, uptown. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay. All right, so I'm just taking this out of the oven because I want to show you what it should look like. And let me tell you this is really important. You see how nice and brown it is? It should be kind of crispy around the side. If it looks gooey and doughy on the inside, even regardless of what the directions say, it is. So cook it till it's brown. You can hear it sizzling. I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear it, which tells me that it's cooking. And we're going to make sure that that cools off before we put the strawberries and stuff in it. And I cooked that for about 12 minutes at 375. If you want to, you can just use the directions on the Pillsbury package, but I cooked it for about 12 minutes till it was nice and golden brown at 375. So you're good on that. Now we're going to get ready to start the filling for the strawberries, and I'm going to get all my stuff together and we'll be back in a second. Okay, here comes the tricky part of this recipe. You just have to do it the first time, and then you're okay. And my lovely assistant, Chelsea, has gone ahead and opened the Jell-O because she has preemptively known that I was going to need that. And here's what I want you to see is we're going to put in, this is super important. I have not turned on the eye yet. The pan is cold. You're going to put in the cup of sugar, and then you're going to put in a cup of cold water. It's got to be cold because you're going to use cornstarch. If you ever use cornstarch with hot water, it's going to clump on you immediately and you can't get it out. So while the eye is still off, I'm going to put in 5 tablespoons. And I said that I don't measure. There are some things you measure with great clarity. And you can look and see my cornstarch is flat across. If you don't know how to measure stuff, then just grab it and pull it up the side of your pan. And it just helps level it off. So there's 2. Here's 3, 4, and 5. And then what you're going to do is, it's still off. I don't have any heat on this pan, and I'm going to get a whisk. And I'm going to start stirring it up here and making sure that it's completely and thoroughly dissolved. You see that? But you've worked with cornstarch before, haven't you? What do you use for your gravies and stuff like that? Cornstarch. Do you ever use flour, or do you only use cornstarch?
I use flour.
Yeah. It's so funny because there's certain kind of gravies and flours, like turkey gravy, I always use cornstarch. And then some other kinds of gravies, I use flour. But in this recipe, you have to use cornstarch, so don't let me confuse you. So can you see how it's like really dissolved? And if you know how when you're stirring, I don't want to make this be too loud. When you're stirring, you can tell if there's still a grit on the pan. I can tell from stirring it that it's already completely dissolved in the sugar. It's not grainy anymore. So I know it's dissolved. Now I'm going to put my heat on just a medium heat, not too hot because it cooks it too fast. So this is going to take a few minutes, and so I'm showing you that it's real liquidy and real soft, and then we're going to come back when it starts thickening up because I want you to see the process of how you know it's time to really get in it. Now here's what you do in the meantime. We're going to go away, but I'm going to stand here and I'm going to stir this because you're going to feel that it's thickening on the bottom of the pan as the heat starts coming up through the bottom, and that's where you got to really be diligent about stirring it so it doesn't lump up, so it looks like that beautiful glue that we like so much. Okay, see you in a second. You ready? Go. Okay, this thing is getting ready to heat up really fast. I don't know if you can tell, it was a milky white, and now it's kind of becoming transparent. I'm going to let you stop here. Do you see how it's beginning to lump and bubble? Now, we're going to get going really fast. What's going to happen is I'm going to stir this till it gets to the right consistency, and then Chelsi's going to dump in the Jell-O. But it's really important that you scrape the corners because you've got stuff all the way around there. And I'm going to make sure it's got to get just thick enough that it's kind of pushing back a little bit. It takes a little more effort with your arm. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to turn my eye off and I'm going to pull it off the eye. Okay, Chelsi, go ahead and put that Jell-O in there. And you're going to put this straight in the cornstarch mix. And here comes the red deliciousness. Look at that, Chelsi. Now, let me tell you something that's an important little step here. I have rushed this process, and it's caused the Jell-O to not really dissolve all the way, and it feels a little gritty.
Right.
And so you can still feel the sugar. And so don't worry about it not setting up. Just go ahead and stir it until you get a really good feel that it's been dissolved. Now, the way that you can do that is with your whisk. You can tell that there's no grit or a kind of, is that the way to say that? Mm-hmm. A grit against it, and then it's getting really just smooth. Now, let me show you this fun thing we're going to do right now. In a larger pan, I'm going to put my strawberries in.
Did you want to use all those strawberries?
No, this is Jimmy strawberries. They won't fit in this pie, so I just pulled out a handful. And then I'm going to put this stuff over it. Chelsi, will you grab me that spatula? And I can't show you the pan necessarily because I'm working backwards. But here's the thing. Oops, sorry. Take your spatula and go ahead and get all that stuff out of there. And if for some reason that you have like a little ring of cornstarch, which I don't, but if you have a ring of cornstarch, leave it. At this point, don't try to scrape it out of your pan because it won't. It'll be lumpy and it won't taste good. See how your pan is clean? Mm. And it's going to be in your delicious little belly. Yes, Chelsi? Now, take your spatula and you're just going to mix this around. And we're pretty sure that Chelsi won the contest, but she may have been cheating, so we're not exactly sure. We may have to have a strawberry like test off or something. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is just pour this in. Chelsi, you want to take, well, I should let you do this, Chelsea, sorry. So, we're going to pour this in. And scoop out your pie pan, scoop out your dish. See again, see how the dish is clear, there's not any filling and stuff. And then this is just a funny little thing that I do is I push this down and let me see if I can give you words. There's a way that you push the strawberries down so that the filling kind of comes to the top. Can you see that? See how here around the rim? Right. You can see that. Let me get this off this. Have you guys ever used an oven mitt, these things? I love them. They're the best invention ever. I now have two, one for both hands. It's all I use when I'm cooking with hot stuff. Have you used one? No. My sister-in-law Bobby got me one for Christmas, and I love it. Okay, so you can see that I've kind of pushed the strawberries down, and now this filling is at the top. And what's going to happen next is you're going to put it in the fridge and let it refrigerate at least for 2 hours, probably more like 4. And should we make whipped cream? Yes. Shall we make whipped cream? Yes. I can show you how to make whipped cream from scratch. It's easy cheesy. Some woman showed me how to do it. And I'm going to put this in the fridge and then I get all the stuff ready for the whipped cream. So you know how the Bible talks about the older women passing on the secret to the younger women? Do you know this passage? So it's so funny for me to think about this is I had an older woman that showed me this trick in secret about Cool Whip. Cool Whip, Dream Whip, Ready Whip, there's 400 billion names, but all it really is just whipped cream. And then I get to tell the younger woman, because it's so nice to be the younger woman. I love it. Okay, so did you know that when you're making whipped cream, the secret is, can you tell what I've done here? I put ice cubes, and I put water in there, and I put my beater and my bucket, my mixer, my bucket, my bucket's out back, my mixer bowl, and I just put it in there for a few minutes. If I'm in a really big hurry, I don't do this, but if I'm wanting to make sure it's good and thick and whipped, then you're just trying to cool everything down. So I've let that sit in there for maybe 2-3 minutes, and then I'm going to dump it out, and then I'm going to show you how to make whipped cream from scratch. Okay, so Chelsea was just asking me when I was dumping the water out, what if you don't have a stand mixer, which I did not have for probably the first 10 years that I was married. If you have a hand mixer, or if you have a lot of muscle and a whisk, you can still make homemade whipped cream, but do start with a cooler pan just because that's going to make a difference. So put your whisk or your beaters, same thing. Another way that you can cheat is throw your beaters in the freezer, like in your ice tray. Just throw them in there for a few minutes and get them good and cold. And then you can use, this is heavy whipping cream, and I didn't measure that. Can you get that? You got an eyeball on that? I guess it depends on how much you're going to make. You can always make more if you want. And what I'm going to do first is, it's literally just milk. And then I'm going to put the, let me scoot this back. I had to modify my kitchen a little bit. And I'm going to put this on high, and I'm going to come back to you and show it to you when it's getting a little bit thicker so you can tell when it's ready. I was cooking with Karis the other day, and she kept asking me, is it ready? Is it ready? Is it ready? And you're going to know when it's ready because it's going to make these big like peaks in it, and it's going to be stiff, so you'll know. This is going to be really noisy, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I've turned the mixer down just so that you can see, but you can tell how much thicker it is already. And I'm just going to tap a little bit of confectioner sugar in here. Are you eyeballing how much this is? This, honestly, it depends on your taste buds, and it depends on what you're making. So with the strawberry pie, it's going to be sweet already, so you don't want a whole lot of sweetness in the whipped cream. However, if you're doing a key lime pie, then you're going to want your, like my whipped cream is sweeter because it got the tart and the sweet, and I made that much sweeter, like maybe even a tablespoon. So now I'm going to let Heather, say hi to Heather because she's doing all the footwork, the film work. I'm going to let you see how this thickens up. Because it's going to start just going up here. See how it's getting thick? And it's just getting bigger, can you tell? And we're getting a spatula with it. Now can you see what it looks like? Now I'm going to push all this down just in case that there's some confectioner sugar that got caught on the side. You see how it's standing up by itself? What's that little tiny dot? That looks like a piece of pepper. There you go. They don't call it Womengettingreal for nothing. I bet that happens in your kitchen too. And then I'm just going to do it one more time. Make sure it's good and stiff. See how it's all? And what I was told is, if you'll stay on this thing by itself, that's how you know you're getting thick enough. And you know what the beauty of cooking is? You get to sample it. You gonna try it? Now, this probably for my taste, it depending on what I was making, I would make it just a little bit sweeter. But because it's gonna go on the strawberry pie, it's probably just fine. I don't know if I would add any more. And it's just like, and so this is another one of those things. This is just as easy as going to the store and buying the stuff, except I saved myself like $5. So now, here's one thing I want to share just when we were slicing all this stuff up that God's been talking to me about is just enjoyment. Sometimes what He's been showing me in the last 6 months or so is life is kind of passing me by, and instead of me just enjoying each moment. And so this is a crazy exercise. This book I just got finished reading was talking about learning how to enjoy and really absorb the moment, and he made the suggestion of going to the bathroom and really washing your hands and feeling the water and the warmth and putting the soap on your hands and letting your hands just go, wow, this is warm, this feels nice, and letting your body and your mind and your life just slow down. Because you got 2 little kids, I got 2 big kids, and we're jamming. Who's got time to think about your hands, right? But one of the things that happens with cooking, you know, I got Chelsea here with me, we're kind of hanging out, but sometimes when you're cooking, when you're slicing strawberries, you have a minute to just let your body and your heart slow down, going, God, I want to pray for this person. And when you're watching God transform things, you know that He's transforming your life too. I mean, God is everywhere all the time, and He's constantly, I got little bumps here, just thinking about the goodness and the sweetness of God, and that He's always bringing good things. One of the things that we were seeing at the beach was out of Isaiah 55, and He says He satisfies our desires with good things. And cooking and friendship and love and His bounty is part of that. But make sure that you take time to just enjoy it. So, strawberry pie, it's not firm yet, but we're going to eat it without you. Don't feel bad, right? And we'll be back later with a new recipe. What should we make next time? Stuffed shells?
That sounds great.
Maybe. We'll see. See you later.